In Venezuela, a doctor traded his medical degree for a bag of rice. Not metaphorically, literally, he spent 8 years in medical school. Thousands of hours studying, a lifetime of expertise. Traded for a 10-pound bag of rice. Because his family was starving, because money meant nothing. Because the only economy that mattered was what you had versus what you needed. And rice was worth more than degrees, more than experience, more than years of education. This is what collapse actually looks like. Not firefights, not zombies, not Hollywood drama. Just desperate people trading everything they have for basic items they should have stockpiled when they were cheap. A pack of cigarettes bought a car. A bottle of liquor bought protection. A box of matches bought food for a week. The people who understood this before collapse? They spent hundreds of dollars stockpiling worthless items. After collapse, those items made them the richest people in their communities. Here's what most preppers get wrong. They stockpile for themselves beans, bullets, bandages, personal survival. Smart preppers stockpile for trade. Items other people will desperately need, items that cost pennies today and buy anything tomorrow. 2026 is looking unstable. Supply chains fragile, currency questionable. The barter economy might arrive sooner than anyone expects. 12 items, all cheap, all tradable, all worth stockpiling right now. Let's get into it. Number 1, BIC lighters, $1. That's what fire costs right now. One single dollar for a device that produces flame 1,000 times. Reliable ignition in any weather. No skill required, no practice needed. Click and fire appears. After collapse, that same lighter trades for food, for medicine, for protection. For anything the person with cold hands and no flame desperately needs. Fire is non-negotiable. Humans need it for cooking, for warmth, for water purification, for psychological comfort. Without fire, survival becomes exponentially harder. Matches run out, ferro rods require skill. Primitive methods require practice and perfect conditions. Lighters just work. And here's the economics. A 50-pack of BIC lighters costs about $30. 50 units of tradable fire. If each lighter trades for 1 day of food post-collapse, you just bought 50 days of eating for $30. That's the barter math preppers should be calculating. Buy them in bulk. Store them dry. They last essentially forever. Butane doesn't expire. When someone's freezing in the dark with no way to start a fire, they'll trade almost anything for that click. $1 today, 1 meal tomorrow, maybe more. I have over 200 lighters stockpiled. People think I'm crazy. Those same people will be trading their jewelry for my lighters when the grid dies. $1 each, buy more. Number 2, salt, $1 per pound. The most underpriced survival commodity on Earth, salt preserves food. Before refrigeration, salt was the only technology keeping meat edible for months. Entire civilizations rose and fell based on salt access. Wars were fought over it, economies built on it. The word salary comes from salt. Roman soldiers were paid in it. That's how valuable this mineral was throughout human history. And right now, you can buy it for $1 per pound. After collapse, refrigeration dies. Every piece of meat, every fish, every protein source needs preservation or it rots within days. Salt becomes the difference between eating and starving, but preservation is just one use. Human bodies need sodium. Without it, muscles fail, nerves misfire, heart stop. In a survival situation with heavy labor and sweating, salt becomes medically critical. Salt treats wounds, saline solution cleans injuries. Salt water gargles treat infections, salt cures hides. If you're hunting, you need salt to preserve leather. A 50-pound bag costs about $15 at restaurant supply stores. That's 50 pounds of preservation, of medicine, of essential mineral, of trade goods. Nobody can manufacture salt after collapse. What exists is what exists. The person with salt controls food preservation for their entire community. 50 pounds, $15. That's not stockpiling, that's buying power. Number 3. Miniature liquor bottles, airplane bottles. Those tiny single-serve liquors that cost $1 to $2 each. Perfect barter denomination. Here's the problem with stockpiling full-size bottles. In a trade, you're offering too much. You can't divide a bottle of vodka into smaller portions. You either trade the whole bottle or nothing. Miniatures solve this. Each bottle is a single trade unit. Small enough for minor transactions, stackable for larger deals. And liquor demand doesn't disappear during collapse. It intensifies. Stress makes people drink. Trauma makes people drink. Boredom makes people drink. The psychological need for escape multiplies when reality becomes unbearable. People will trade food for alcohol, trade ammunition for alcohol, trade almost anything to numb the horror for a few hours. This isn't moral judgment. This is human psychology documented across every disaster in history. But alcohol does more than intoxication. Disinfectant, high-proof alcohol kills bacteria. Wound care when medical supplies run out. Anesthetic. Field surgery without painkillers is torture. Alcohol makes it survivable. Preservation, tinctures and extracts require alcohol base. Fire starter. High-proof alcohol ignites easily. $1 to $2 per trade unit. Infinite shelf life. Guaranteed demand. 100 miniatures costs $150. That's 100 individual trades. 100 opportunities to acquire what you need. Stockpile what people will desperately want. People will always want escape. Number 4. Tobacco products. Approximately 20% of adults smoke. During high-stress situations, that number climbs. Former smokers relapse. Non-smokers start. Nicotine addiction is chemical, physical, brutal to break. And withdrawal during survival situations creates people who can't function, can't think, can't contribute. A person in nicotine withdrawal will trade almost anything to make it stop. Cigarettes are the obvious choice. Sealed packs last 2 to 3 years, longer in freezer storage. Recognizable units that everyone understands. But cigarettes are expensive. There's a cheaper option. Loose tobacco and rolling papers. A pound of loose tobacco costs $20 to $30. That pound creates roughly 300 cigarettes when rolled. Compare that to buying 300 pre-rolled cigarettes at retail prices. Rolling papers cost nearly nothing, a few dollars for hundreds of sheets. Total investment, about $40. Total output, 300 tradable units, that's 13 cents per cigarette. After collapse, each cigarette might trade for a can of food. The math is absurd. $40 today potentially equals 300 cans of food later. You don't have to smoke. You don't have to approve of smoking. You just have to understand that millions of people are chemically addicted and will trade survival resources to feed that addiction. Stockpile what people need. People need nicotine, profit from chemistry. Number 5. Instant coffee. Caffeine addiction affects 90% of American adults. 90%, that's not a lifestyle choice. That's physical dependence, brain chemistry altered by years of daily consumption. Adenosine receptors multiplied, baseline function requiring caffeine to achieve. Without caffeine, withdrawal hits, headaches, fatigue, inability to concentrate, depression, physical pain. During collapse, when every ounce of mental clarity matters, caffeine withdrawal cripples people exactly when they need to perform. Coffee becomes medicine. Here's the budget approach. Instant coffee. A large jar of instant coffee costs $8 to $10. Contains approximately 120 servings. That's 8 cents per dose of caffeine compared to whole beans. Better quality, but requires grinding, requires proper brewing, requires equipment. Instant just needs hot water. Storage is simple. Sealed jars last years, decades if stored properly. No degradation, no maintenance, no rotation required, and the demand is guaranteed. Coffee isn't optional for addicted people, it's essential. They would trade real value for that brown powder because their bodies won't function without it. One jar, $10, 120 trades. Each trade might bring you a tool, a supply, a service, a favor. That's the barter economy, trading what you have for what you need. You need to stockpile what 90% of people can't function without. Coffee is legal addiction. Stockpile accordingly. Number 6. Bar soap. Hygiene collapses faster than people expect. Within a week, without proper sanitation, skin infections start. Within 2 weeks, serious illness spreads. Within a month, disease becomes the primary killer, not violence, not starvation. Soap prevents this. Basic soap, nothing fancy. Just the ability to wash hands, clean wounds, maintain minimal hygiene. And bar soap has advantages over liquid, lasts longer. A bar of soap provides dozens of washes where liquid soap disappears quickly. No packaging failure. Liquid soap pumps break, bottles leak, containers crack. Bar soap is solid, portion control. You can cut a bar into smaller pieces for individual trades. Try dividing liquid soap. Price is ridiculous. Dollar stores sell multi-packs for $1. 3 bars for $1, that's 33 cents per unit of hygiene. After collapse, when skin infections mean potential death, when disease spreads through unwashed hands, when basic cleanliness becomes luxury, that 33-cent bar trades for serious value. I stockpile the plain, unscented bars. They store longer, no fragrance oils to go rancid. 100 bars costs about $35. Takes up minimal space, lasts essentially forever if kept dry. 100 units of disease prevention. 100 trades, $35. Nobody thinks about soap until they don't have it, then they think about nothing else. Stockpile what becomes obvious too late. Number 7. Razor blades. Hair keeps growing during collapse, beards keep growing. Hygiene requirements don't pause for emergencies. But more than grooming, razors serve critical survival functions. Wound care, clean wound edges require trimming. Dead tissue requires removal. A sharp sterile blade handles both. Precision cutting. Tasks requiring more control than a knife provides. Razors fill that gap. Tool creation. Razors become scraping tools, cutting tools, detail work tools. And they're tiny. 100 razor blades fit in your pocket. Try carrying 100 of anything else useful. Here's the budget math. A pack of 100 double-edged safety razor blades costs about $10, 10 cents per blade. Each blade provides multiple shaves, multiple uses, multiple trade opportunities. After collapse, nobody manufactures razor blades. What exists is the entire supply. Demand stays constant because biology doesn't care about infrastructure failure. The guy with a beard rash and infected ingrown hairs will trade real value for a clean blade. The medic who needs to debride a wound will trade real value for a sterile itch. $10, 100 blades, pocket-sized trade inventory. Everyone overlooks razors, nobody stockpiles them. Which means supply will be nearly zero while demand remains constant. Simple economics, low supply, constant demand, price explodes. Stockpile before others figure it out. Number 8. Sewing needles and thread. Clothing wears out, gear tears, fabric fails. In normal life, you replace things. In collapse, you repair things or you go without. Sewing capability becomes essential, not optional, essential. A torn jacket in winter means hypothermia. A ripped backpack means lost supplies. A failed seam on shelter material means exposure. And sewing needles cannot be improvised. Thread cannot be easily manufactured. These items require industrial production that stops when the grid dies. What exists is what exists forever. Here's the budget approach. Buy variety packs. 100 assorted needles costs about $5. Different sizes, different purposes, different capabilities, 5 cents per needle. Thread comes in spools. Large spools of heavy-duty thread cost $3 to $4 each. Hundreds of yards of repair capability. Total investment, $20 for a comprehensive sewing kit with enough supplies to trade for years. Each needle might trade for a meal, each spool might trade for a tool. Small items with massive value because nobody else stockpiled them. And the weight is nothing, the space is nothing. A complete sewing kit fits in a sandwich bag. Contrast with food preps that take entire rooms. Sewing supplies provide equal trade value in pocket-sized packages. Trade value per ounce. Sewing supplies crush almost everything else. $20. Years of trades. Stockpile what others forget. Number 9. Seeds. Not food, the ability to create food. Forever, a packet of vegetable seeds costs $2 to $3. Each packet contains dozens to hundreds of seeds. Each seed potentially produces pounds of food. The math is staggering. $3 for a tomato seed packet might yield hundreds of pounds of tomatoes across seasons. If you save seeds from harvest, that $3 becomes infinite production. This is what makes seeds the ultimate barter item. You're not trading food, you're trading food independence. After collapse, gardens become survival. Anyone can eat stored food until it runs out. Only people with seeds can produce more. Here's the budget strategy: buy heirloom varieties only. Heirloom seeds produce plants that produce viable seeds. You can save and replant indefinitely. Hybrid seeds produce plants with sterile or unreliable seeds. One harvest and done. Focus on calorie crops. Beans, squash, corn, potatoes, foods that actually sustain life, not just garnish it. A complete heirloom seed library costs about $50. Covers all major vegetables. Stored properly, seeds remain viable for years. Some varieties for decades. $50 for infinite food production potential. Each seed packet traded might establish a relationship with a farmer who supplies you vegetables for seasons. Seeds aren't one-time trades, they're relationship builders. Stockpile the future, not just the present. Number 10. Over-the-counter medications. Pain doesn't stop during collapse. Allergies don't stop. Diarrhea doesn't stop. Heartburn doesn't stop. Every minor ailment that you currently solve with a quick pharmacy trip becomes a major problem when pharmacies don't exist. And these problems don't just cause discomfort, they reduce survival capacity. Pain prevents sleep. Sleep deprivation causes fatal mistakes. Antihistamines prevent allergy symptoms that could be confused with illness, causing panic. Antidiarrheal prevents dehydration that kills faster than starvation. Here's the budget stockpile list. Ibuprofen, 500 tablets at Costco costs about $10. 2 cents per dose of pain relief. Antihistamines, generic Benadryl or Loratadine, bulk bottles under $10 for hundreds of doses. Loperamide, antidiarrheal, generic Imodium. Life-saving for about $5 per 100 tablets. Antacids, generic Tums or ranitidine. Dollars for hundreds of doses. $50 buys over 1,000 doses of various medications. Each dose might trade for food, for services, for other supplies. Medications are dense value. Tiny pills worth significant trade because the alternative is suffering without relief. And nobody can manufacture these after collapse. What exists is everything. $50, thousands of trades. Medical relief in your pocket. Stockpile what everyone needs but nobody thinks about. Number 11. Duct tape, the universal repair material. Shelter leaking, duct tape. Gear splitting, duct tape. Wound needs covering, duct tape. Anything needs holding together, duct tape. This isn't exaggeration. Duct tape has been used for emergency repairs on aircraft, spacecraft, vehicles, and humans. Its versatility is legendary because it's real. Adhesive that sticks to almost anything, backing that provides structural strength. Water resistance that protects repairs from moisture. After collapse, manufactured goods stop. Everything you own must last indefinitely. Repair becomes the only option. Duct tape enables repairs nothing else can handle. Here's the budget approach. Buy from hardware stores, not survival retailers. A standard roll at Home Depot costs about $6. Survival marketed tape costs $20 for the same product with different packaging. $6 per roll. Each roll provides dozens of repairs. Each repair might save a critical piece of gear. And trade value is high because everyone understands duct tape. No explanation needed. Universal recognition means easy trading. I stockpile 10 rolls minimum, $60 for repair capability that might last years. Compared to replacing gear, a new tarp costs $30. Duct tape repair costs pennies, a new jacket costs $100. Duct tape patch costs pennies, repair is cheaper than replacement. Duct tape enables repair. Stockpile the silver miracle. Number 12. Reading glasses. 75% of adults need vision correction. After 40, nearly everyone experiences presbyopia. Near vision fades, reading becomes difficult. Detail work becomes impossible. And glasses break, frames snap, lenses crack. The single pair most people own is one accident away from blindness. Dollar stores sell reading glasses for $1 each. Various magnification levels, functional vision correction for pocket change. After collapse, optometrists don't exist. Lens manufacturing doesn't exist. The glasses on your face are the only glasses you'll ever have unless someone stockpiled spares. $1 today, functional vision tomorrow. What would someone trade for the ability to read again? To see clearly again? To do detail work again? Food, medicine, weapons, services, almost anything. The value exchange is absurd. $1 now for trade goods worth exponentially more later by multiple magnification strengths. +1, +1.5, +2, +2.5. Different people need different strengths. 100 pairs costs $100. Enough to supply an entire community with vision correction. $100 for the ability to give people their sight back. That's not just trade value, that's power. Stockpile what people physically need. Vision is need. 12 items. Total investment under $500. Lighters for fire, salt for preservation. Liquor for escape, tobacco for addiction. Coffee for function, soap for hygiene. Razors for grooming, sewing supplies for repair. Seeds for food production. Medications for relief, duct tape for fixing. Glasses for vision. None of this is sexy, none of it makes impressive YouTube content. Nobody's filming duct tape hauls or razor blade stockpiles. But when collapse comes, these 12 items become the currency that matters. The guy with 1,000 rounds of ammunition will trade some for lighters when he caught and start fire. The woman with a year of food storage will trade some for soap when skin infections threaten her family. The prepper with the perfect bunker will trade supplies for seeds when stored food runs out. Everyone needs what they forgot to stockpile. You're stockpiling what everyone forgot. That's the barter economy advantage. You're not competing for survival, you're positioning for prosperity. While others suffer from what they lack, you profit from what you have. $500, maybe a day's wages, converts to trade goods worth thousands in any collapse scenario. This isn't prepping for survival. This is prepping for wealth. The currency changes. The wealthy don't start stockpiling. 2026 isn't waiting.